Welcome to Virtual Ventriloque. I'm your host George, and today we're going to try to replicate the hand tutorial, see-through hole, whatever you want to call it. I have no idea. I'm going to try to make it as realistically as possible. Sorry if I stumble here and there. And yeah, let's start with what you need is a marker, your hand, and a phone to record. So you can firstly take your marker. We need a center, so let's make one in the center dot, and then let's try and make like a plus. So we've done our plus. It doesn't matter, is it far, is not far, as long as it is two different dots in a different area. And because Blender is asking for at least 8 tracking dots, we're going to do some more. So we're going to try and make it like a square. Picture a square on hand. One here, one here, one here, and one here. So it does look like a square. One here, one here, one here, and one there. So 1, 2, 3, 4 square. They will have like 9 tracking dots. This will go for now. And then we'll take your phone, take your hand, and film it, whatever you want to do, the background, foreground, you can do it there, you can do it here, you can do it there. As long as the background is still, because if the background is moving, I haven't got that far yet, but probably in the future tutorials we're gonna get it. So we have our tracking dots, we have our phone, film it, and then get to the tutorial. Or if you don't want to do it, or I don't know, whatever reason, I'm gonna provide you with the video in the description below. Download it, use it, I don't mind. So for the sake of this tutorial, at the end of this introduction, I'm gonna show you that I'm gonna do this hand see-through. So you can see through the thingy. With the blank project, file, new, video editing, don't save, find where your clip is, the downloaded one or the one that you film it. Let's delete the audio. At 20 seconds, video has 600 frames, but for this tutorial I'm just gonna use like 300 frames to keep it short. Let's go to the first. Let's see the video. Let's go, let's find where to save it. I already have a folder created. Accept, PNG, JPEG, and render animation. Bam, file, new, general, don't save. Let's go to VFX, motion tracking. Let's clean up the space, join areas, find a JPEG sequence, press A to select all, open clip is loaded. Let's set sim frames, 300, prefetch, to load the video into the cake, into the cache, Eevee, can't have 300 samples. Let's put in the viewport 30, ambient occlusion, bloom, screen space reflection, motion blur, transparent, and on the color management from filmic to standard. Now let's put on previous keyframe, normalize, and let's see if it works. It works. Now I'm gonna find a starting frame where all the dots are visible. So that's like frame 40. That looks good. Center, and now if you click control left mouse button, you can add the tracker. And again, and again, and again, until we put a tracker on all the dots. If you press track on the right side, you can see the tracker. Press A, track forward. Beautiful. it worked beautiful. Now let's find where we first started. You can use the arrow keys and then track backwards. It tracked beautiful. Not much movement. Hopefully we're gonna have a good camera solve. Let's find the A keyframe that is in our footage. So it starts 40 and let's put the end keyframe 60. Press A. Solve camera motion. We got a solve error of 139. There is multiple ways that you can go down with the solve error, but if you take each one as in particular and weight it down a little bit, we can get a better resolve. But I'm gonna be happy with whatever the resolve is after this weight down. Let's pick this one and this one, weight it down a little bit, press A. Solve camera motion 128 is gone down 10. I'm happy with this. We can work with this. There's not much movement, so definitely whatever we're gonna make in this is gonna work. Split the screen. But before, we need to make a mask, because we need to mask the tracking dots. Tracking, mask. If you press Shift A, you can add the circle. I messed up that one a little bit. It's okay like that. I'm gonna work with it. So if you press Shift A, you bring a circle, and then press G to grab, and then move. S to scale. You can make it slightly bigger, or just as much as the marker is covered. We're gonna use this in composite later. Shift D, duplicate, and then Shift D until all of them are having a mask on them. Shift D, Shift D, and then you just move your mouse, you put it where the tracker markers are. So now all of them has a mask on it. This one is slightly, the tracking is slightly bigger. So S to scale, G to grab, and now let's parent the mask to the tracking dot, because now it's not parent, and when it's moving the hand, the mask stays there. So hover over the mask, press L for linked, and then press anywhere on the tracking line. So L, hover over L, Shift, and then click the tracking line, and then Control P to parent. Do this one more time. Click away, L, Shift, click, Control P to parent. And we're gonna do this to all of them one more time. L, Shift, click on the tracking line, and Control P to parent. I'm gonna speed up this process a little bit. It's a lot of manual handling. Oops. But yeah, it gives beautiful results. Now let's go to the 3D viewport on the right hand side. Let's go back to tracking. Let's set up tracking scene. Bam. If we press 0 on the number pad, we can go into the camera view, and then if you press play, you see that nothing is lined. We can clean up this a little bit, delete the foreground, the background, the cube, the light, we don't need it. We're just gonna keep the ground, the plane, just as a reference. We're gonna delete that in later. Let's find the middle, set an origin, and then 3 trackers to set the floor. Doesn't look quite good. Let's set the origin again, same one, and then let's select 2 trackers, and let's set the scale, let's say 3, and then set scale, and boom, it fits in our palm beautifully. Now let's set this as a y-axis, Yeah, looks good. We can rotate the plane a little bit. Now let's keep that one on the y-axis. Beautiful. It looks good. So far so good. Let's go to layout. Press 0 on the number pad. We go to camera view, and then on the render. We don't have any lightning, so we can use the same video that we use to track our hand. Let's go to image texture, and then open, find the video and open image. Now you see we have kind of similar lightning, which is good. What we are after. We can delete the plane now. Let's add a cube. Looks good. R to rotate. Let's just make it a little bit more. Tab to go into edit mode. Then you have on the top, or you can press 3 on top of your keyboard to select faces and delete the top face. Let's go to modifier, add modifier. Let's add a subdivision surface. Let's put it up to 3 in the render and the lens view. It looks good. Now if we go on the upper left hand side, you can see that is vertex, vertices and faces. Let's select the top face. Press E to exclude. Right mouse button to go back, and then we can press S to scale, and let's scale it up a little bit, not too much. I'm not sure, like that looks good. Now the vertices selected, let's select this for vertices, G and Z, so it moves just on the Z axis. So we can make the holes more natural. Now we can shade smooth this. Tab to go out or into the edit mode. There's not much happening, but we are doing good. Scale it up a little bit, just to do the materials and to position it. And from here we can go into many ways, into many directions, and you can have different results. But let's do some materials. Let's add 2 materials. One is going to be the holdout that is going to be see-through, and we're going to blend the see-through material with the inner hand material, so we make it look more natural without any hard edges. So we got the see-through first and the inner hand. Let's select the see-through, color, image texture, and let's find an image where our hand is not in the image. So basically it's just the foreground and the inner hand. Let's select the see-through. Let's go tab to the edit mode, face select the bottom part, see-through, and then assign. And now if you press Ctrl I or Shift I, you can invert the selected. And now with this selected, we can select the inner hand and press assign. And now if you press 0 to go to camera view, you just see the background in the background, but as you can see it's not moving, so we have to go from default to window. And now when we move our hand, the see-through, you just see the background, which is kind of cool. It's really cool. Now we need to flatten the bottom. So what we do, we press tab to go to edit mode, select the bottom part, and then if you press I, we can insert it a little bit. Is not good results, and then press I again, insert it again, and then Control I to invert, select the inner hand and assign. And now to fix the last problem, we're gonna Control minus once to deselect one face, deselect, select, Control minus, Control plus, deselect, select one more, and then assign. And now it's fixed. We have like a flat see-through cube bottom that we can work with. As you can see, it's not the same lightning like the one that is in the real, like in the footage, and the one that is from the bottom of the cube is a little bit more dark. So how we're gonna fix this? We're gonna add a light spot, and then we're gonna scale. We're gonna press G, Z, bring it up, scale it down, and then we're gonna press Z to go to the top view, and then we have to match the light with the bottom of our cube. So this is good. Now we have to bring it down so the edge of the light is next to the bottom of our cube. G, Z, and just slightly touching it. That's good, that's good. So far so good. If you made it so far, hopefully you understand, and yeah, I'm really excited for the results. Now let's crank up the power. Let's make it like 500, which is way too much. Maybe 300, which is still too much. Let's go down to 100. This looks good. 100 kind of matches. Yeah, it does. It does actually matches the CGI with the thingy see-through bottom of our cube. So if I stumble here and there, bear with me. Now let's select the cube and the spot, Control P to parent, and now when we scale or move the cube, the light is scaling or moving with the cube as well, as you can see. Right, now if we press left mouse button, right mouse button, it just clicks back to its original position. Let's scale it up. And if you scale it up, we need to make the light stronger. So I got the light. Let's crank it up to 300, not 30. So now it matches, kind of. Anyway, whatever is we're gonna work with the inner hand material, and that is gonna draw the eye. Now we're gonna scale it on Z because this looks way too big. So let's scale it down, something like that, which looks like more natural. It's still way too big. We're gonna maybe scale it down a little bit more. Yeah, scale S, Z, scale it down, and now it looks more natural. As you can see, the light, because we scale it down, we bring the bottom of our cube closer to the light. The light is stronger, so we're gonna need to go back to the lightning, select the light, go back to the light, and maybe make it crank it down. Because the light is too close to the face, it makes it the middle more strong. So we're gonna scale it as SZ until we can find somewhere that is quite equal. The light is equal. That is good. Now let's take the light. Let's put it up maybe 200 to match the light. If it's a little bit more light inside the see-through material, it's okay, because in the render it evens out. Now So far so good. Let's render one image. So you can see that it actually matches. It matches. Let's make some renders. It matches the light. Okay. Now let's fix this there. Let's grab this. Let's go to the vertex. Let's grab this vertice and this vertice. If you press Alt Control and click one of the vertices, it selects the whole loop, and S to scale, and just scale it up a little bit until we're not gonna see the lower part of our cube. Looking good. So far looking amazing. Maybe scale it down a little bit because it's quite big. Now it's up to you if how big you want to make it, the cube. And then let's start shading. Before we start shading, we need to hide the spots, the dots. So how we do that? In compositing, we're gonna bring up the mask that we worked so hard, and we're gonna make it go through a blur, and then we're gonna see the end results are really satisfying. So now let's take the movie clip, and then sorry, Shift A, search, blur. No, let's bring in first the mask that we worked so hard. Let's go and Shift A. Let's add a dilate. So we're gonna take the mask. We're gonna go through a dilate to dilate it a little bit to make it more smooth, and then we're gonna combine the movie clip with the mask and the blur through alpha over. So I'm gonna take the movie clip. We're gonna run it through a blur. Let's put it here. Let's take the mask. Let's select the mask that we worked so hard, and then let's select motion blur. Let's put this down to 0.2. Let's take the mask, plug into the mask, plug it into the image factor, sorry, and then let's go to the feather distance. Let's make it 20. Leave it smooth. Let's take the movie clip and plug it into the top image, and let's take the alpha and put it in the image. So you can see that our mask is working. It's working beautifully. We can put up the distance so it makes more feathery and more smooth, and on the minus it goes minus. So I'm gonna keep it at 20 for now, maybe 30. Yeah, 30 is good. Now let's take the image and run it through the blur, and let's take the image and plug it into the bottom of the alpha over image. Let's blur it on X for 40. You can see it's already working, and on the Y 40. You can see it looks good. Maybe let's put it 30. You can see some of it is quite strong. Let's leave this to 40. Let's put this to 40, so it's better. It looks a lot better. Now let's go out to the layout. Let's render the image, and as you can see, there is no more markings, no more tracking dots. Beautiful. It looks beautiful. If you made it so far, hopefully you learned something today. And now we're gonna move forward to go to the shading, and we're gonna shade this inner hand and make it more realistic without any hard edges. Now that we're gonna shading, let's clean up the space a little bit. Join the areas. We don't need those ones. We're gonna make this one slightly bigger. Bring it closer. Let's take the BSDF and unplug it. We're gonna use this in cycles if you want to use cycles. Now let's bring up a text coordinate, type in Shift A, COO. Now let's find a noise texture, texture, and then let's find a mix RGB. No, I mix RGB. Yeah, that one. It always happens. We click the other one. And now let's add a separate XYZ. And then let's add a math. We're gonna subtract this so we're not gonna see the hard edge. Now let's bring a color ramp, which we're gonna use the sliders, so that defines where the colors in between. Let's plug the generated, let's change this to 4D, let's put this to W. Let's take the factor, put it to color, and then let's use the generated, put it in the color number. Let's swap, and then let's take the color, plug into image, right. Let's put this to linear light. Let's put it down a little bit. We're gonna play with this later. Let's take this is the wrong node. We need XYZ. Separate XYZ. Let's take the color, plug into the vector. Let's take the Z, plug into the value, because we're gonna move it into the Z axis. Let's put this, let's change to subtract. Let's take the value, put in the factor. Let's take the color and plug into the surface, and bam, nothing happens. Why? Why is this? Because we're gonna need another node, another two nodes, which one is holdout. Yeah, it's not working because we need to mix these two together. Why is not working? We need to mix these two together, so we're gonna need another node, which is a mix shader. Let's put the mix shader here. Let's put the color into the factor. Let's put the holdout into the top shader. Let's take the shader, put it in the surface, and boom. But it works. Let's swap this around. Now it's even better. So you already can see, if you move the slider, we can have like a quite beautiful gory hole. That doesn't sound good. Yeah, so we can play with this factor. We can make it more real, more, I don't know, no hard edges, and you can play with this round if you wanna. But the way I'm doing it is I'm gonna take the detail all the way up to 16. I'm gonna put the distortion, I'm gonna go to roughness all the way to 9.9 is okay, so we don't have any hard edges. So as you can see, it looks beautiful. Now what we're gonna do, we need to scale it down a little bit, not too much, because we're gonna see the bottom of our cube. Scale it up because I don't want the holdout to be too wide. Just to cover the bottom of the cube. So far so good. Anyway, tab to go into the edit mode and exit the edit mode. We have a nicely cut through our hand so far. We can play with this, bring it up, not too much because it's gonna invert. So we can put it here or here. It's up to you, desire, if you want a more sharp edge. But for me, the sharp edge, it doesn't actually look too attractive. I want to have like a smooth edge. Now looks good, everything works fine. I'm gonna scale it down a little bit, make it smaller, and we are gonna make the
many dots inside our palm. That it's called Trypophobia, Trypophobia or something like that. Maybe I'm gonna make another video where I'm gonna make these holes more natural, more bumpy, more real. But for now, still it's gonna look crazy. So you can see that the light, we're gonna bring the light up a little bit. Scale not working, I have to bring it up a little bit. G to grab, Z, and then you just move the mouse. The light is quite strong. But we cannot see the bottom of our cube. So far it's good. Maybe let's go to shading. This is for the holdout, which we want to use. We want to work with the inner hand. Let's slide this slider so we can drive the eye inside the hole. Not too much, because you can see the hard edge. Just slightly darker on the edges. By the way, I'm using Eevee for this. If you want to use cycles, we're gonna have a lot of dots. We're gonna multiply this hole with light for quite a few times. And cycle is quite slow for my computer for now. Now let's take the bottom face, Ctrl plus, select all the faces, G, Z, make it a little bit deeper, something like this. And now as you can see the bottom is way too low, so I'm gonna bring it up until it touches the light. Now is so far so good. It looks good, but you can see the bottom of the cube when the hand goes like turning. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna press tab, go into the edit mode, go into the vertex, selected vertices, select this vertice, G, Y to move on a Y axis, and then just slightly cover the bottom of our cube. And as you can see, if you press tab to go out of the edit mode, we cannot see the bottom of our cube, and it looks good. But one is not enough, we're gonna need a lot of this. So let's find a frame where the palm is like facing the camera. And what we're gonna do now, we're gonna add a plane, S to scale, just make it as wide as our palm is, G to move, just put it in between the holes, or just to fit the hand, scale it up a little bit. And now we got, this is just for reference, so we're gonna press Z, go to the top view, we're gonna hide the camera because it's in our way. We're gonna take the cube, shift, spot, cube, press shift, press the spot, and now we have all selected. Shift D to duplicate, and then we're gonna duplicate this hole everywhere, as long as it's in our plane. That is just for reference. Let's see how it looks. Let's bring the camera back. It looks good. That looks way too white. Why is that? Let's try and fix this first. Let's take the light. It's not the light, it's not this. No, something is wrong. Why is this? Oh, it's the plane. The plane affects the light. So if the plane is on, you can see that the light is stronger. When you turn off the plane, you cannot see the light that's stronger. Press cube, shift, press cube, shift and spot. Press Z or 7 on the number pad, go on the top view. Let's turn off the camera because it's on our way. And now let's duplicate this little holes everywhere. I'm gonna speed up the process. I'm just putting them randomly to look as eye-catchy as possible. One here, one there, as long as it's in the plane. It's not perfect. If you're gonna take your time, you can make it better. Now, as you can see, we have many holes in the palm of our hand. Now let's delete the plane. As you can see, everything it tracks beautiful. Everything is lined. Let's select the cube and shift the spot. If we now gonna duplicate this, and let's say let's duplicate it, shift D, and then let's say we're gonna put it here. As you can see, it's not on the same level as the other ones, and when the hand moves, when the camera moves, it's not on the same level with the other ones, and it looks odd, it looks off. So if you want to add more, just select the cube and the light, shift D, go onto the top view, press 0 or 7 on the numpad, and that tracks and that looks good. And you can do this as many times as you want. Press Z or 7 on the numpad, shift D, and you can put it here, and then you can press 0 again and go into the camera view, and you can put mostly all over the palm. But if you go up the fingers, that loses it because the fingers is slightly more upwards than the palm. And if we put it close, now you can see that the mask works on the masks affect the other holes. So how are we gonna fix this? Firstly, some of them are good, some of them are bad. As you can see, I tried to make it as natural as possible. That one doesn't fit in there, so what I'm gonna get rid of it. I'm gonna press render. As you can see, that doesn't look good at all, and if we tweak it a little bit, this is the result. I'm gonna delete that one, it's in the way. Now we can move this, select the light, select the cube, and you can press top, hide the camera, and you can move it around. You can tweak it, you can tweak all of them, or if you take your time to put it like it doesn't, one holdout doesn't affect the other holdout. Or you can go stay in the camera view, select the light and the cube, and then just press G, and then move it on the specific axis like X or Y. Now I'm moving it Y, so you can see it moves. X, Y, Z is not good. Let's put it on Y, not good. This is just a heads up for you if you want to tweak it a little bit more and make it look more realistic. Basically, this is the idea. So you can tweak it, you can make it as realistically as possible. The dots are done, and now the end result, tweak it, make it as you like it. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you learned something today. More Blender tutorials is gonna come in the future. Now let's find where to save it. I'm having plenty. So if you go to MPEG 4, from this to go to perceptually lossless,